Followed, I think, almost everything that I was going to do. The thing that I did change is because it's not going to be too visible simply because we're using that matching thread. As I was originally going to do was go into the flying geese necks, but very quickly what I'm going to do is switch gears first. So now we're going to move into this wide sash, and one of the things that I'd like you to notice is the side sash is about half the size here and here, and so I'm going to actually leave this simply ditched, but this top that's double width, I'm going to go in 1/2 inch, and I went ahead and used my blue erase because it's on a tan fabric. And I lined up my ruler and I went ahead and marked all the way across. Now the one thing that I will say that I do with that is, as I look down at my 1/2 inch here, if this isn't straight across right here at the seam, then what I like to do is err, because for me, my eye picks up if there's a difference here rather than here in the middle. So if I mark coming down to here, but then I start to notice that there's a dip here, I'm actually going to follow that curvature to keep my 1/2 inch proper to the seam that's here. So that way the 1/2 inch goes across here, and then of course the 1/2 inch also comes down from the edge here. And then over here, same thing, this happened to dip up a little bit. And so when I did that, I made sure to keep my 1/2 inch line here on the seam at the top. And I just kind of maneuvered that through. Okay, so now we're going to bring the machine over. We're going to quilt that line that I've made all the way across, and then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put a filler just for some interest and some texture change. Okay, so now I'm going to line that up. I've got my stitches locked. Pause, slide, line up. Pause, slide, line up. Pause, slide, line up. Go to the end, lock my stitches, and now I'm going to cut thread, go back to the beginning and do the bottom. Gonna start there, come down, line that up, work my way across. Okay, lock stitches, and now I'm going to go ahead and remove my blue line before I put my filler in. So now I'm going to go up here and I'm simply going to put my vine up, vine down, straight across. And let me switch over to cruise. I'm going to do my swirl, swirl down, backtrack around, flip up, flip down, question mark shape, flip up, question mark shape, flip down. And for this design, you'll want to go into the Mystical Florals, Leaves, and Vines, flip down, flip up, and I have a complete tutorial on how to use this inside of a sash, as well as an edge to edge. Come down, flip up, and I'm liking using this in here because it's going to marry to that cornerstone design that we started with up in the border, where we did the swan body and the swan neck, and that's based on this particular design. Flip up, backtrack, flip down, backtrack, flip up, backtrack, flip down. If you want to think of it as a ladle, scoop the soup, backtrack, dump the soup, backtrack, scoop the soup, backtrack, dump the soup, backtrack, scoop, follow up. That's where I would have come down. Lock my stitches. And now we'll pull away and look at that texture. And we'll be able to see that texture a little better once we get the quilt off the frame and we look at it with the side light. Now what we're going to do, I've rolled the quilt, I basted the sides. I will go back and I will work my way down in here after we talk a bit about the body of the quilt. So what I'm going to do with all of these blocks that is made up of a panel is I'm going to ditch around the outside of the brown. I am then, when that's done, going to drag in and I'm going to ditch around the inside. So that's going to leave that frame, that brown frame, unquilted. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to go into these blocks, and I believe what I'm going to do is about an inch, inch and a half, and I'm going to echo in one square and maybe one more square just to kind of frame it. So it makes it almost like a photo frame without putting a lot of quilting right on the here on the feathers. Because what I don't want to do is to go in here and put a bunch of filler in to detract from what's already here. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to go on the outside of it, and I'm going to echo out a 1/4 inch all the way around just to leave some negative space there, and I'm going to do that on all of these. So if we widen the shot here, I'm going to repeat that on all of these framed areas. So I'm going to ditch the outside, ditch the inside, and then go outside a 1/4 of an inch, go around that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and repeat the same measurement in, which I believe is going to be about an inch and a half. And I'm going to go in, and then if it needs another one, I'll go in another inch and a half and put another inside frame in again, just to kind of make these kind of pop out like they are pictures in frames. And then what I'm going to do, once that's all done within the throat space, is I'm going to go in and fill in all of this outer area outside of that 1/4 inch out echo. So I'm just going to do some micro-ish, not totally micro, but micro-ish work and fill that all in. And I'm going to pin all of these back because, of course, that'll be echoed out 1/4 inch. And I'm going to fill right up to the inside edge here. Can we get a shot in here? So there's our flange. This will be echoed 1/4 inch out. I'm also going to put the microfill right up into here. And I pin all these back, and then this is going to stand out and give that wonderful accent that it's intended to do. So let's go ahead. Let's get started on that. Slide that up. I've got my stitches locked. I am on my regular stitch regulator, which on this machine is called Precision. 12 stitches per inch. I'm going on the outside of the brown frame. I'm going to go up the side. Pivot my ditcher to stay right on that edge. Up there at the corner, lock. And now what I'm going to do is needle up. I'm going to drag right to the point where I'm going to start again. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lock. And I'm going to repeat that. Okay, and now I am going to grab my ruler. I think because of how light this is, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to use my blue Marks Be Gone. Going to make the decision. How far in do I want to go? How wide is that guy? I think I'm going to go 1.5 inches. No, I think I'm going to go 1 inch. And I'm going to go ahead and go another inch. There, I like that. Okay. So now I'm going to go needle up, drag, stop in the corner, needle down, lock my stitches, repeat that again. Line that up so that I'm going to hit right in the corner. Stop. I'm going to come down a ways away from that corner, lock my stitches, needle up, drag, drop my needle, and lock my stitches. And again, I am using a nice neutral thread. It's going to blend right in. Obviously, you can see the blue line, but once we get rid of that blue line, it's just going to be this beautiful square inside of another square frame. I'm going to slide in a little bit. Lock my stitches there so I'm not locking it completely in the same corner. Pull, move, pop my knot, snip my thread. I'm good there. Let me get this out of the way for just a second. I'm going to go ahead, trim my drags on top. When I finish the quilt, of course I'll flip it over after it's done, and then I will trim all of my drags on the back of the quilt. Right now I'm going to remove the blue, and then I'm going to go ahead and echo around. Actually, before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my corners, go a 1/4 inch out. I'm gonna do my blue pen, 1/4 inch, line that up, 1/4 inch, and I'm only gonna worry about my corners here. 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, lock my stitch, line that up, over, line that up, line that up, line that up, I'm going to come down, stop, lock, lock, and I'm going to do this around each of the blocks, and then I'm going to come back and then I'm going to put my filler in any spot that isn't inside this echo into the block. So I have finished the whole quilt, and as a reminder in here, what we did is we ditched inside the brown, outside of the brown, and then of course I put my fill with my frame on the inside of all of these small photo type blocks in this panel. And then I went a 1/4 inch out, and I did an echo 1/4 inch out. So what I want to do is all the areas around the echo, all of this open area in the sash, what I'm going to do is we're going to put some filler just to give it that positive negative space. So of course we have our flange here, and I want to be able to get up into there, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use pins, and I am going to pin this flange back so I can get into there fairly easy and do my filler. I'm using my flower head pins. They're nice and thin. They're not going to damage the flange. I'm not going to pull too hard here on the edge because I don't know how much she's tucked under when she did her piecing. I'm going to make sure to keep it safe. And I'm going to do that all the way around within my throat space so that then I can get in there and do the fill. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do our microfill all the way around. So I'm simply going to be doing some swirls. Because it's not going to be too visible simply because we're using that matching thread as I go around. And I'm going to continue all the way around. Again, I'm not doing micro work. I'm doing a little bit bigger than micro just to fill in and give that negative space. And when I finish this, I'm going to take it off the frame, we're going to hang it up, we're going to get our final shot and do our talk through. So as I finish this, I will see you then. Okay, so we have a finished quilt, aside from the binding, which she will put on after she receives it. And this is quilt 1 of 2. So, as we talked about earlier, I pretty much followed, I think, almost everything that I was going to do. The thing that I did change as I was in the quilt was, instead of going and doing continuous curve alternative here, I just decided to stay a little more formal, of course, with the ditch work, and I went ahead and did ditch work there. And here I did 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So I did like a 36 patch crosshatch here, and it turned out fantastic. It looks really beautiful in person. What I really love is the texture here between each of the different photo portions of the panels. I love the 1/4 inch out echo, and then of course the feathered swirl kind of filler, and it really does make this beautiful flange pop. The flange I'll probably put a little presser on just to kind of bring that down. She's going to want to probably lay it flat for on a bed for an afternoon just to kind of flatten it out, of course, after quilting, or block it if she chooses to block it and hang it. But it turned out absolutely gorgeous. The piano keys on the side, the approximately 1 inch, looks really amazing. I love putting the cornerstones in. That turned out really lovely. And then simply in this feather border right here with the feather pictures, just simply dividing those spaces, I think turned out really well to kind of highlight the feathers themselves. And the over and under turned out well. I like it. It really did turn out to be a lovely, lovely piece. So I will see you for the next piece we do down the road. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Keep drawing and keep quilting.